Okay, I changed it to ultra low latency, so we'll see if that helps, because my stupid internet is not behaving. Okay, can everybody tell me where we got to on the story? Okay, can everybody tell me where we... Really, my internet is just terrible. This is kind of discouraging. My internet. I need to get a new internet provider is what it boils down to. But what can you do? I'm sure the snow has something to do with it. My neighbor's trees are in the way between the receiver and their tower, so I do. Hello, Outrum and Flamboyant Kit Trip. An evil witch made it back. Carol yelling. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, evil witch. I'm going to take one more bite of my apple. Okay. Hey, if GM can get away with eating on his live stream, so can I. Give me just a sec here. I blame him. Okay. Carol was sitting at one of the booths, hugging herself. Her eyes were glossy, and she had a reddened face. Look, I already said I was sorry, okay? Sorry, huh? Alex shot. Sorry ain't gonna get us out of this frickin' avalanche. I said, cool it, punk, Sam yelled. All right, let's all calm down, Felton jumped in. It was clear that the moment was getting to everyone. We need to keep a sound mind if we want to get through this, all right? I am calm, Alex spat. He turned his attention to Sam. Why the hell isn't your phone working? You should be prepared for this kind of crap. Sam glared back. Listen here, buddy. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I can tell you, Misty Pass don't get no avalanches. Alex scoffed and pointed to the window. Well, newsflash, Pops. It looks like the rules have frickin' changed. Why, yeah. Sam rolled up his sleeves. All right. Everybody just relax, Felton shouted. He noticed Carol was excessively rubbing her arms. You all right? She gave off a sheepish grin and nodded. Yeah, I don't like knowing we're trapped here. Stuck in one place with no help. He nodded. I know how it looks now, but we'll be fine. Can I have you check out the rooms and see what state they're in? Might be good to know if we can use any of them. There's no telling how long we're due in. Might as well get to preparing. Me? Yeah, you look like you can use the motion, and I think it'll help get your mind off the whole ordeal. She bit her lip and reluctantly nodded. If none are salvageable, at least the sheets and pillows can be collected. Sam, can you give her the keys for that? The old man detached a ring from his belt and handed it to her. Darlin', he said to Ruth. She was sitting in the adjacent booth to Carol, head on the table. Might be good for you, too. Can you accompany Miss Carol? Ruth shrugged nonchalantly. And Sam, Felton continued, can you man that phone to see if you can get through to the sheriff? He nodded. Yeah, I can do that, Felton. Alex scoffed. All right, noble leader, what about you? For a second, the lights from the lamps quickly faded in and out, drawing everyone's attention. I'm going to have a look at that generator to see what state it's in. Alex smirked. Knock yourself out, then. I sure as hell ain't going out there. Felton set his jaw. Fine. He tossed the shovel into Alex's hands. You got the next shift on the cars. Alex threw it down. I ain't doing shit. Felton quickly closed the gap between them. Look, I ain't here to play. Who's got the bigger dick? Everybody here is pulling their weight, and you'll do the same. You hear? He picked up the shovel and pushed it into Alex's hands. Now get to it. The suit glared at him for a second. It looked like he'd object further, but he loosened his tie and grudgingly started to make his way to the stairs. Hold up, city folk, Sam spoke up. Alex halted with an irritated look. Felton, Sam said, hobbling over to him. That old generator is stubborn. Always has been. Let me look at her. I know how to work her. Sam, I don't think you should go out there. The old man sucked his teeth. Listen here, Sonny. I've been doing this way before you knew what pant leg went where. I'll be fine. I would have called it quits if I didn't think otherwise after all these years. Felton chuckled. All right, but I'll be nearby. Call out if you need anything. Oh, don't you worry. I ain't going out there yet. That shack to the generator is probably buried all to hell. Gonna have the suit help dig it up. You hear me? Sam said, glancing over to him. Alex's glare tightened at the news. While he does that, maybe y'all can see what we can use to cover these windows. Night'll be here before you know it. And you know how evenings are around these parts. Yeah, good thinking. Carol opened a door in the hallway and peeked inside. Immediately she met with an icy breeze. The room was small and painted with a god-awful blend of baby blue and peach. Yet the queen-size bed looked cozy enough, centered around a dresser and a desk. Glass covered the floor and the bed, while the walls garnished deep cracks like gashes. Looks like the window's shattered in this one as well, she stated, shutting the door. We'll swing back around and grab the sheets later. Ruth nodded silently. So your dad tells me you guys come up here often to hunt. Yeah, I guess, Ruth replied, shrugging. Seems you used to these parts then, Carol continued. Can't imagine how, though. I still can't stand the cold. Probably my fault for moving to a warmer state. But I do love a good cup of joe, and nothing beats having one in this kind of weather. Ruth simply shrugged again as they made their way to the next door. It's not so bad once you get used to it. We did do hunting, but it was the tracking I favored the most. Dad always told me it came natural to me. A lot of what he taught me, he only had to do once. Really? Maybe you could have tracked down some lip gloss I lost in my car about a week ago, Carol joked. Ruth snickered. She finally smiled, Carol noted with a smirk. Didn't think that would be possible. I smile, Ruth shot back. Uh-huh. Carol checked another room. So how young were you when you started tracking? 8, I think, or 9. I was old enough to know what was going on, at least, and was really big on nature back then. A real tomboy. I'm lucky Dad didn't force dolls down my throat. I wish I had one like yours, Carol noted. He seems like a good man. Any reason you guys stopped hunting until now? She opened the next room to find it in a similar state as the last. Ruth pulled a strand behind her ear. We just stopped for a while is all, she mumbled, heading to the next door. I don't really want to talk about it. The innkeeper seems to be quite fond of you two as well, Carol brought up. Yeah, we've known Sammy for some time, Ruth replied with a smile. Well, I've known him all my life. I figured. He mentioned you resembled your mother a lot. You ever bring her up here too? Or has it always been a daddy-daughter time? Ruth halted. Something wrong? Carol asked, glancing back. She didn't answer, though, and briskly walked off, leaving Carol dumbfounded. 1 second. Felton had managed to find a staple gun and started to pin the curtain back together, the curtains to block the open window. In the background, he could hear Sam tinkering with the phone. "Hey, Felton?" Sam said suddenly. "Yeah." "I wanted to ask, how you been holding up?" "Pretty well. Everything will be fine, Sam," Felton replied, adding another layer of staples for his seal. "I'm sure we won't be here for too long." "That's not what I mean. I'm talking about everything, after everything that's happened, with Janice. I know it's been 6 years and all." Felton paused from his ceiling and sighed. He struggled to find the words for a second. "I want to say it's been getting easier, Sam. Yet I'd be lying to you, to myself. Not a day goes by where I don't think about her. Hell, half the night I wake up expecting to feel her next to me, but..." Sam nodded. "I understand, Felton. Same happened to me when Joan passed. I got pretty desperate back then. Even contemplated eating a bullet at one point in hopes of seeing her again. But I knew she'd never want that. All I can say is that it will get easier." "Will it, though?" "It does if you believe it. Yeah, the toll it takes taken on me is one thing. But everything with Ruthie, I know it affects her more than... beyond words. I can't even imagine what she's going through, Sam. Haven't had the heart to ask her, either. Sometimes I feel like I've failed her as a father. Felton, she knows you'd do anything for her. Hell, Ruthie, I think understanding it more than you think. She's a strong gal, raised by the both of you. There's nothing I can think of that she can't take on." Felton smiled. "Yeah, she sure as hell is. But I do got to ask, you think that it was wise bringing her up here? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm happy to see both of you and all, but this is stubbornness showing itself in her." The two laughed heartily. A second later, Alex slid the curtain to the side and climbed through the window. "Cold as a reindeer's balls out there," he stated, blowing into his hands for warmth as he loudly stomped the snow off his shoes onto the floor. Sam scowled. "What the hell you doing in here? Did you finish clearing that damn generator?" Alex shot a salty look. "Geez, old man, can I even take a moment to warm my ass?" Sam set the phone down. "Looky here, Sonny, if you don't clear that path, we'll all be freezing our asses off. Nice to know you're worried about my well-being. And yes, I finished clearing the path." "And how does the generator look?" "I don't know," Alex shot back. "You just told me to clear a path, and that's what I did." "Why, yeah, I couldn't take 2 seconds," Sam started. Without warning, a deafening screech filled the air. The pitch grew, stretching into a long, studded moan, accompanied by what sounded like hammer banging against metal. Immediately after, a thunderous boom exploded that shook the room. "Jiminy!" Sam yelled, holding his hand to his ears. "Another avalanche?" Alex cried out in panic. The lamps inside the diner surged with energy to a blinding light before quickly cutting to black. In the background, the humming of the ventilation released a sickening dry cough and then dwindled down into silence. Instantly, the windows seemed to suck out the lingering heat, replacing it with the chilly wind. Felton stuck his head out to see a thick cloud of smoke billowing from the back of the lodge. "Son of a... Sam, the generator's smoking!" He immediately hopped out of the frame, feeling his boots sink into the rigid snow. Sam and Alex followed, all trekking ahead. It was a difficult task to walk straight. "We still here, people? I'm so worried it's going to shut off." Okay. And even harder with the wind mocking their efforts to maintain their balance. As Felton approached, he recoiled at the singe of musty smoke, which forced its way up his nose into the back of his throat. The small shack was connected to the rear of the lodge. The wide trench Alex carved could be seen leading up to the door. The black smoke continued to filter out of the top like a chimney, adding a hint of ash to the snow around. "What the hell did you do?" Sam yelled to Alex. "I didn't do shit. You told me to dig a path to the door, and that's what I did. That's it. You obviously did more than that. Forget you, old man." "All right, quiet, both of you," Felton roared. "Right now we need to check out the problem instead of pointing the finger." "Don't bother," Sam interjected. "Best to let the smoke filter out a bit." He took a moment to spit in the snow. "Blasted." "So what does this mean?" Alex questioned. "The generator will be fine, eventually, right? You said it's always been stubborn, right?" Sam raised his hand through his hair. "I don't know. Ain't never had a flood of snow to deal with in the past. Could be something worse." "Sam, I gotta go look at it." Felton brought up again. "We need to assess the damage now, if there's any. Smoke may never clear up in time. Check the horizon. Every second counts." The old man noted it and sighed. "You know what to look for?" "Seen a few generators in my life. Once you've seen one." Sam chuckled. "Here, then." He handed Felton his scarf. He nodded and wrapped it around his mouth and entered the shack. Most of the smoke had cleared, but the remaining smog immediately stung his eyes, the scarf doing little to block it from his mouth. He could feel the tickle at the back of his throat grow as he fought the urge to cough. "Bye, Kira. Thank you so much for dropping by." Inside, he noticed the machine, which stood tall, reaching his chest. Its outside casing was rusted in many areas, with tubes and cables running amok like wild hair. No doubt it had been around for decades, clearly past its expected lifespan. That was Sam for you. He'd hoard the corpse of a dog if it meant keeping it around. Felton began his check, opting to look at the fuel first. He found the cap, which opted to be stubborn before conceding and peeking inside. The levels looked fine. He could vaguely see... He could vaguely see the line where the liquid reached. Fuel wasn't the issue. He decided to check the cables and followed one to the back. Immediately he froze as it sighed. He found a large gaping hole. "What the hell?" he whispered. Pieces of its hull were torn in several directions, like a deep gash on a prey. He also noted that something was sticking out of one of the edges. He reached over and attempted to grab it. But the blasted piece, whatever it was stubborn to get loose. It took several pulls until he could reel it free. Felton tried to make it out in the smoke, but couldn't, ultimately shoving it into his pocket. Right when he did, a drop of oil splashed onto the snow, which drew his attention. He glanced down to see a puddle inside a small dip. His eyes widened as he crouched to get a better look. It was a footprint, a trail of them to be exact, but they didn't appear to be human. They almost resembled a deer's hoof. Strange, the pattern was off. Instead of a set of 4 prints for a deer's, there was only 2. He followed them and found they led back to the entrance. "Felton, you all right in there?" Sam called out. "Come on out. You shouldn't be in the smoke that long." He nodded to himself and exited. Once out, he couldn't hold back the cough anymore as he took in the clean air. "How bad is it?" Sam inquired. It took several more seconds before his coughing started to subside. As it did, Felton's eyes returned to the ground, noticing the tracks as they curved around the shack. "Felton, you all right?" Sam asked. "I asked how bad it was in there." Felton remained quiet, noting the tracks led to the distant tree line where some of the forest managed to survive. "Real bad," he finally answered. "It's a lost cause, Sam. Generator's toast." He paused to cough for a few more seconds. Sam cursed under his breath. Something got in there, Felton continued, and gutted the damn thing to hell. Something? What do you mean, something? I don't know, Sam. Something. It went to town on that generator. What was it? A coon? A possum? Sam noted Felton's eyes still gazing at the ground. What the hell are you looking at? He asked. That trail of prints, Felton brought up, pointing to them. They were inside. They led to the generator and back out here. And? So? Sam shrugged. I'm not following you, Felton. I think whatever made them might have. Alex crouched near the track. I'm no expert in wildlife, but these look like deer prints. You're not suggesting it was that, are you? How the hell does a deer tear up a generator? Sam scoffed. Ain't no way. He hobbled over to look. As they both studied them, Felton's eyes suddenly flashed. He remembered the piece he found wedged in the side. He fished the object out of his pocket and held it up to the light. He had to blink several times before taking another look. His mind couldn't comprehend what he was gazing at. The object resembled a talon, but it felt and looked like a piece torn from a tree. It was like the wood had been carved into a talon. What's that? Sam asked, noting it. Don't know. Found it in the generator where it was gutted. What do you make of it? He handed it to Sam. Felton didn't know what to think. Maybe he was just seeing things in the object, adding paranoia where it didn't need to be. He found that he was holding his breath as the old man held it up to inspect it. Sam sucked his teeth again. Possum talon, he concluded. Like I thought. Damn things. Sam, I don't think. Trust me, Felton, it's a possum. Damn critters are around here. It was only a matter of time till they find their way in. Can't complain too much, though. I'd say I did pretty good for 15 years, wouldn't ya? You ever see a wooden talon, though? Felton brought up. It ain't wooden, Felton. It's dirty's what it is. That shows how animals are. You see? This is what happens when you're out of the game for too long. Let me see that, Alex said. However, Sam quickly tossed it away before either of the two could object anymore. What the hell? Alex shot. You don't think it looked wooden? Felton pressed. Like it was carved out of a branch? The old man's face was twisted into a puzzled look. Seeing this, Felton sighed. Forget it. You're probably right. A possum. Sam nodded and started to make his way back. Alex did a quick stand for the item before he gave up and started to follow. Felton was about to do so, too, until something caught his ear. In the distance, he heard what sounded like faint whispers. They were soft, hiding just under the wind. His stomach tightened. He could feel that familiar sensation growing in the pit of it, that cold emptiness. He was hesitant to check, but his body seemed to turn on its own. He cautiously scanned the area into the horizon. All the while, the whispers continued. His eyes drifted in the direction where the footprints led to the tree in the distance. The emptiness seemed to grow stronger from it. The whispers, too, sounding as if each was fighting to speak over the other. They were endlessly repeating that word again, yet he still couldn't tell what it was. As they grew in volume, the surrounding sounds were swallowed greedily. Felton felt paralyzed again. He couldn't move no matter how hard he tried, too drawn in by the voices. As they continued, he thought he caught the word. It was very brief. My God, what did that mean? Hey, Felton, you coming? Sam's voice called out. It's going to get dark soon. We should make final preps. Instantly, the whisper ceased, along with the feeling in his stomach. Felton shivered from the cold, feeling as if the blood in his very veins had thawed. He blinked several times, finally able to move his limbs again. It felt as if he'd been frozen alive, yet not at the same time. It was hard for him to describe. After another quick scan of the tree line, he nodded to Sam and turned to follow the others. Okay, woohoo! How we doing so far, everybody? I am sorry about the multiple videos since